The wrestling world was stunned on October 1, 2025, when Andrade El Ídolo made a surprise return to All Elite Wrestling (AEW) during the company's 6th anniversary edition of Dynamite. What made the comeback even more shocking was the speed at which it happened. The former WWE star re-emerged less than 3 weeks after his exit from WWE. The return, the backstage maneuvering, the legal implications, and Andrade's future trajectory, these have become hot talking points among fans and insiders alike. In this full breakdown, we examine what's been reported behind the scenes, how Andrade's exit from WWE paved the way for an early AEW return, the contract and legal landscape, the internal reactions within AEW and WWE, and what this means for Andrade's path going forward. Timeline recap: from WWE exit to AEW return. To understand the backstage intrigue, it helps to trace the timeline. In mid-September 2025, multiple outlets confirmed Andrade had been released by WWE. He was listed in the WWE alumni section and removed from active programming. Reports also noted that his departure was not mutual, and stemmed from internal issues including wellness policy violations. With no non-compete clause enforced, Andrade became a free agent immediately. On October 1, in the Dynamite show's opening segment, after an in-ring tag team match, the arena lights went out. When they returned, Andrade was in the ring, attacked Kenny Omega, and aligned himself with Don Callis, presenting him as the newest member of the Don Callis family. Shortly after, reports emerged that Andrade had signed a full-time contract with AEW and was expected to be part of the roster going forward. Thus, in a matter of weeks, Andrade went from WWE release to AEW debut in dramatic fashion, with backstage elements playing a crucial role. Backstage legal and contract considerations. One of the biggest questions pundits and fans are asking: how could Andrade return so quickly? The answer lies in the non-compete clause, which is typical in wrestling contracts. Usually, when a main roster WWE talent departs, there is a 90-day non-compete restriction preventing them from appearing on competing shows. In Andrade's case, sources say no non-compete clause was applied at the time of his release. WWE reportedly cut him outright, foregoing the usual 90-day limitation and allowing him to appear elsewhere immediately. The lack of non-compete means Andrade was able to immediately sign elsewhere and, effectively, avoid any legal hamstrings restricting his mobility. Some reports claim that WWE declined to buy out or pay Andrade for the non-compete period, which is sometimes done to enforce that restriction. In short, by not invoking a non-compete clause, WWE cleared the legal runway for Andrade's immediate AEW return. Beyond the non-compete, sources suggest that AEW and Andrade likely negotiated a full-time contract behind the scenes prior to the public return. Fightful Select is cited as confirming the parties have already struck a deal for Andrade to be on AEW's full-time roster. This deal presumably takes effect immediately, meaning Andrade's surprise appearance was not just a one-off guest spot but the start of a sustained AEW run. Thus, the backstage architecture was primed for a seamless transition. WWE removes restrictions, AEW secures the talent, and Andrade re-emerges dramatically. Internal reactions and locker room dynamics. When a high-profile wrestler returns so swiftly, there are bound to be internal ripples. Based on reports and industry norms, here's what may be happening behind the locker room doors. WWE side. The release of Andrade, especially tied to wellness violations, suggests internal frustration and management pressure. By cutting him outright rather than enforcing non-compete, WWE may have signaled they preferred to sever ties completely, rather than maintain a contractual limbo. It's possible that internally, WWE leadership wanted to clean house quickly, perhaps to avoid extended liabilities or negative media prolongation. AEW side. Andrade's return is already being leveraged as a big win for AEW. Having a former WWE star return so dramatically bolsters the promotion's star power. In the locker room, existing AEW talent may feel both excitement and pressure. On one hand, Andrade brings more spotlight, on the other, it raises the stakes for roster competition. The alignment with Don Callis, and by extension, the Don Callis family, could place Andrade into a pre-existing heel faction, giving the company an immediate storyline home rather than easing him in slowly. Speculation on internal tension. Some AEW talents who were vying for main event spots might feel overshadowed by this arrival. Those already aligned with factions opposed to the Callis family might resent Andrade's immediate placement within a top-level group. Given Andrade's history and pedigree, AEW may be cautious not to mismanage or overexpose him too quickly. Overall, the internal vibe is likely a mix of enthusiasm, strategic recalibration, and rogue anxiety about how Andrade's presence will shift creative priorities. Creative and storyline implications. A surprise return is only as useful as the storylines built around it. What does Andrade's return mean for AEW's narrative landscape? Immediate impact. Andrade's resurrection came via a brutal, sudden attack on Kenny Omega, instantly re-establishing him as a threat. His handshake with Don Callis cemented his heel alignment, and placed him firmly inside the antagonist camp. This sets up potential feuds with AEW's top faces, Omega being the most obvious target. Medium-term scenarios. There is speculation of an angle or feud between Andrade and MJF Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Social media exchanges and public challenges have already begun. A mask versus hair match has been proposed in these exchanges, though details which mask, which hair remain fuzzy. Andrade's presence could also bring more focus on lucha libre traditions, potentially bridging CMLL or Mexican wrestling tropes into AEW angles. Long-term outlook. Andrade being under full-time AEW contract suggests he may be positioned for title contention or major storyline arcs rather than being a mid-card filler. The call-out of internal AEW power dynamics, factions, alignments, betrayals, will likely involve Andrade as a catalyst figure. Given his history, AEW may nurture his character slowly, letting him build credibility before pushing him to the top. Why this move matters. Strategic takeaways. Beyond the flash and spectacle, Andrade's return is significant for multiple reasons. 1. Public relations and brand momentum. AEW gains credibility by engineering a surprise, breaking the notion that big names only come from WWE. It's a statement. AEW is now a platform with prestige. 2. Talent mobility disruption. Andrade's return without a non-compete underscores how wrestlers may negotiate for more flexibility. Companies might rethink contract terms. 3. Elevating the Mexican wrestling connection. Andrade is deeply rooted in lucha libre tradition. His presence can help AEW deepen its Mexican, Latino fan engagement and creative tie-ins. 4. Creating new rivalries and heat. Andrade's return injects unpredictability. He's a wildcard who can be slotted into myriad feuds. His presence itself becomes a storyline. 5. Contract precedent. A full-time AEW contract right after WWE release sets a template for future talent transitions. If it succeeds, more wrestlers could follow. Risks and challenges. Of course, a return this bold is not without hazards. Some possible pitfalls. Overexposure. Pushing Andrade too fast may lead fans to tire of him if the angle isn't compelling. Locker room friction. Other talent vying for prominence may feel marginalized, potentially breeding backstage discontent. Creative missteps. If AEW mismanages the storytelling or gives him weak opponents, his return may fall flat. Fan skepticism. Hardcore fans will scrutinize whether this is a sustainable long-term booking or just a flash-in-the-pan stunt. Personal and health issues. Given prior wellness or injury concerns, his physical availability over time may be a variable. What to watch next? For fans and analysts, keep an eye on Andrade's match schedule. Will he remain a surprise entrant, or begin to get regular television matches? Who he targets next? Will it be Omega, MJF, or someone else? The mask versus hair angle. Will that materialize, and in what format or stipulation? How AEW balances Andrade with its existing stars. Will he dominate or be part of ensemble arcs? Any public or backstage responses from WWE, former colleagues, or other wrestlers?